because I feel like there's this idea that if you're not a perfect Muslim, then you don't have the right to benefit from or use Ramadan in the way that you want. And I feel like sometimes we kind of lose sight of what the essence of this month is, which is a time where all of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's doors of mercy are open, where we can ask and we can receive, where we can heal. Asalamualaikum everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Soda2, aka Bint Fatima. If you're new here, hi, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video, and if you're returning, thank you for subscribing. I'm glad you're here. Now we're all part of this. Let me stop. Okay, this video was brought to you by the letter P and the number 0 because procrastination. So 0 lighting, but we're gonna work with it, inshallah. Oh, I keep forgetting to always say this, but if you haven't already, please click on the subscribe button down below, and you can also click on the bell notification so that way you can be notified every single time that I post a video. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have something to say, please give me a comment down below. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As the title suggests, or maybe the title is not going to suggest because I honestly don't know what to name this video, I'm going to be talking about the kind of like imposter syndrome that comes in during Ramadan that keeps you from striving to work towards closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this video is completely inspired by Nadirah P, and I'll link her YouTube up here, and I'll link her Instagram down below. She did a live video and I was watching it this morning, and she was talking about a post that she had seen on Twitter where the person was kind of sort of suggesting that like there's an issue with people who are Ramadan Muslims, like people who only practice or who only put in effort or, you know, are visibly Muslim during Ramadan, whether it's that they start wearing hijab or they start growing their beard or wearing a thobe or whatever it is, whatever they change in their lives, they become more visibly Muslim during the month of Ramadan. So she was touching on that topic and touching on why that mentality is wrong and why we should stop judging people for being Ramadan Muslims. Because I feel like she kind of talked about how judging other people, like she talks to the people who are judging other people. I am going to talk about the person who is being judged, so to speak, I guess. So I will say that I definitely in the past have been a Ramadan Muslim. And this was in high school, this was in college, I was a Ramadan Muslim. Anytime outside of Ramadan, I didn't really hold myself to the same standards in terms of prayer, in terms of reading Quran, in terms of worship. Like it wasn't that deep to me. But Ramadan was like, okay, it's the month of mercy, it's the month where everybody is practicing. I need to get on that boat. Alhamdulillah, like over time it's become a little bit easier to take whatever it is that I've gained from Ramadan into the next year. But that's not to say that it's consistent. That's not to say that I am sinless or I am perfect. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this mainly is because I feel like there's this idea that if you're not a perfect Muslim or if you're not a pious Muslim, then you don't have the right to benefit from or use Ramadan in the way that you want to use it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but let me just rerun that back. So I feel like there's this idea in the Muslim community that in order for you to benefit from the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order for you to benefit from the mercy and to receive the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you must be in a state of always being a good Muslim 24/7. Otherwise, why are you trying? That's kind of the mentality that I feel like the Muslim community the world over kind of has, and I could be wrong. There might be a country somewhere where Muslims aren't like that, but at least the Muslims that I've encountered, there's this idea that if you're not a perfect Muslim now, when will you ever be a perfect Muslim? But I know I've mentioned this in previous videos, so I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's important for us to recognize that like you're human, we're human. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we will make mistakes. We're going to do things that we regret. We're going to do things that we're not proud of. We are habitual sinners. And that's something Nadirah said in her video that I feel like really stuck out to me, is that all of us, every single one of us, are habitual sinners. If that habit is daily, every other day, weekly, every other month, once a year. We are all habitual sinners because we're human beings. We're not perfect. None of us. Anybody tells you they're perfect, they're lying to themselves first and to you. Going into this Ramadan, I kind of went into it with this mindset that like, okay, this Ramadan's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be great. I'm so ready for ibadah. I'm ready for clarity. I'm ready to be connected to the Quran. But then my imposter, not good enough self came into the picture. Somewhere along day 3, day 4, I started questioning if my intentions were in the right place. I started questioning if like I was even deserving of trying to be so pious if the rest of the year I hadn't been that pious. I started asking myself, why are you reading the Quran now if you hadn't read it literally 5 days ago? Why are you worshiping now if you weren't really being that consistent with it 5 days ago? Why are you waking up for tahajjud? Why are you doing this, that, and the third? And I think that is our not good enough self. That is our imposter self, which kind of gets you in this place where you're drudging up or dragging up all of your sins, all of your mistakes, and it holds you back from moving forward. And it holds you back from assuming that you have the right, which you do have the right, to closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So last night I was blessed, honored, gifted with a Black Iftar, online Iftar. If you don't know what Black Iftar is, I'll link their Instagram down below. Go read up on them. Go find out. Go do your Googles, okay? But they had a virtual Iftar. The speaker at the Black Iftar was Sister Angelica, aka the Village Auntie. I love her. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve her and protect her and grant her everything good in this dunya as well as in the akhirah. Ameen. But anyway, she was talking about our spiritual well-being and our closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in particular when it pertains to Ramadan, but just in general. And one thing that she was saying, she brought up the fact that specifically for Black Muslims, we have been in spaces where our race has been a reason why people convince us that we do not have the right to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are other people who experience something similar, maybe not because of race, but maybe because of the way you dress, or maybe because of the way you talk, or maybe because of your lifestyle, whatever it is. People will have you convinced that you don't have the right to closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she was saying that nobody has that right. Nobody has that right to tell you what kind of relationship you can have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's between you and Allah, right? And she touched a little bit on like how masajids can push people away. And it kind of reminded me of like this one quote that I read one time where they were talking about how like masajids are not, contrary to popular belief, masajids are not clubhouses for the pious. They are hospitals for the broken. There are hospitals for the habitual sinners. There are hospitals for the people who can't be always consistent with good deeds and who aren't always on the right path 24/7, right? They're for the people who are imperfect, the human. That's what masajids are for. And I think the same way we should see Ramadan. Ramadan is for everybody. It's not a secret society club where you must have membership, you must have read X amount of Quran this year, you must have been on your deen, you must have been praying on time X amount of time. Like, that's not what Ramadan is. And I feel like sometimes we kind of lose sight of what the essence of this month is, which is a time where all of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's doors of mercy are open, where we can ask and we can receive, where we can heal and we can do better, and hopefully, inshallah, carry that into the next year. But sometimes I feel like, aside from people having you convinced that you're not worthy of whatever goodness Ramadan has to bring, sometimes we ourselves internalize those external messages from other people. And we internalize this sense of like shame, this sense of guilt, because we are not perfect Muslims year round. And so there gets to a point, and I don't know if anybody else can relate, but I know I personally got to a point, and I've gotten to this point before in previous Ramadans, where I just felt like I am not entitled to the amount of worship or the amount of mercy or the amount of forgiveness that I'm asking for or that I'm trying to implement. And I think that it's really important for us to sit ourselves down and remind ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who told us we are not perfect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I believe this is a hadith, that if we were to stop sinning, Allah would replace us with people who would sin and ask for his forgiveness. So there is, of course, it's not like, oh, that means we should live our entire lives sinning. But there is, I feel like the message under that is that the purpose of our existence is that we're going to sin, we're going to make mistakes. But what matters most is that we continue to return again and again and again and again and again to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because his doors of forgiveness, his doors of tawbah, his doors of accepting you after you have made a mistake, after you have sinned, are always open. And especially during this month of Ramadan, like literally all the gates of Jannah are open. The shaitan is chained up, hell is closed. So it's just like this month, more than any other month, you have every single right to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have every single right to want to nurture and grow and flourish that relationship that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't let yourself psych yourself out from that. I think that's kind of the message that I wanted to give. And of course, that's a message to myself first, because I feel like I have had days where maybe I wanted to wake up and pray the Hajjud, but then I'm just like, you're doing the most. Or I've had days where I wanted to just read Quran for a couple of hours and not just a couple minutes, and my mind's like, you're doing the most. But it's just like, no, it's okay. Even if that most only exists in this month of Ramadan, Inshallah Rabbi, Allah will put barakah in it for me in this dunya and in the akhirah, and will put barakah in everything that you put an effort towards, everything that you try to achieve, everything that you intend to achieve this month. Allah will put barakah in it, bless you for it, accept from you, and grant you goodness afterwards. So that is all that I have. I don't know if this was inspirational. I really don't even know what I'm gonna title this video. It kind of was just something that's been running through my mind. And again, like I said, the conversation that Nadirah had about people who kind of shame people for being Ramadan Muslims, like they need to get out, go mind your business, go work on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, go find a hobby, go do something, you know what I mean? But at the same time, there's also this other side where after years of hearing this propaganda of that you're not a good enough Muslim, you're not good enough to get close to Allah, you're not pious enough, you're not righteous enough, you're not whatever enough to be close to Allah. After a while, we kind of internalize that, and we end up bringing that same mentality to ourselves and attacking ourselves when we are doing our absolute best. I'll end off by sharing a story. This morning, or this afternoon, I guess, because I woke up kind of late. I woke up and I just was feeling heavy, like physically heavy, emotionally. My heart was heavy, and I prayed. And after I prayed, I had my Quran like sitting right here next to my prayer space, and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna read it. I'm just gonna open it and read it, because maybe it'll help with this heaviness. I've been trying to read the Quran since like 2 years ago, y'all, and I'm still on Surah Ali Imran, but I was on the last 2 pages of Surah Ali Imran, and the ayahs there, and of course my Arabic understanding is not that great, but I could kind of get the gist of what was being said. But it really gave me the motivation that I needed. There was one particular verse that really hit me, was that the dua that the believing people were making, they were asking Allah to forgive them. So meaning that believers commit sins to have to ask Allah for forgiveness. It doesn't make you any less of a believer because you sin. It makes you human. What makes a difference is just, are you going to turn back to Allah? And Allah's doors are always open. It's just a matter of, are you going to turn back? One verse in particular that really got to me was when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was saying, "O you who believe, persist and be perseverant." And I think that's kind of the message that I'm trying to remind myself throughout this Ramadan, is that I'm gonna have my down days, I'm gonna have my up days, I'm gonna have my good moments, my bad moments, but I need to keep persevering and understand that my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a lifelong thing, and it is not restricted to a certain amount of deeds that I do. It's not restricted to certain qualities that I must have. I just have to have sincerity in my heart and a good intention, and just put in an effort, and that's it. So that is all I have today. So inshallah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Again, if you're not subscribed already, please click on the subscribe button down below. Also hit on the bell notification so that way you can be notified every single time that I post. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below, inshallah. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay blessed, stay hopeful, and Asalamualaikum. Peace and love.